like to call this regular meeting of the Coralville City Council to order, May 26, 2020. Again, we're meeting via Zoom. Don't hold your breath and don't hold me to this, but this may be our last Zoom meeting. We'll see what happens in a couple weeks. It may or may not happen this way again. But let's start with roll call, please.
Councilmember Foster.
Present.
Gross.
Here.
Gill.
Present.
Dodds.
Present.
Goodrich.
Here.
Okay, we have all council members present, as is the mayor and city clerk. Assistant city administrator Kelly Hayworth, our administrator, will be joining us after a bit. He had another meeting to Zoom on that started at 6:30, but he'll join us as soon as he can. And then we have several other city staff members that will, as well as a city attorney, that will speak as appropriate for their items. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I believe that was moved by Gill, seconded by Goodrich. Any comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the agenda is approved. Now it's my honor as mayor to issue a proclamation for the city of Coralville. And then we have Kate Casaletto joining us tonight that may want to receive this proclamation virtually. And Kate, we will get you a written and signed copy after tomorrow sometime. So, but I'd like now to read the proclamation first. Whereas every day 100 Americans are killed by gun violence, and on average there are nearly 13,000 gun homicides every year, making Americans 25 times more likely to be killed with guns than people in other high-income countries. And whereas support for the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens goes hand in hand with keeping guns away from people with dangerous histories. And whereas Iowa has 270 gun deaths every year with a rate of 804 deaths per 100,000 people. 214 of those gun deaths are firearm suicides, and the current pandemic has drastically impacted communities and individuals, which may result in situations where it results in an increased risk of intimate partner gun violence, suicide by gun, and unintentional shootings. Whereas in January 2013, Hadijah Pendleton, a teenager who marched in President Obama's second inaugural parade and was tragically shot and killed just weeks later, and inspired her friends to ask their classmates to wear orange because hunters wear orange to announce themselves to other hunters when out in the woods, and orange is a color that symbolizes the value of human life. And whereas to help Hadijah and the 100 Americans whose lives are cut short and the countless survivors who are injured by shootings every day, a national coalition of organizations have designated June 5th, 2020 as the 6th National Gun Violence Awareness Day. And whereas we renew our commitment to reduce gun violence and to do all we can to keep firearms out of the wrong hands and encourage responsible gun ownership to help keep our children safe. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, John A. Lundell, Mayor of the City of Coralville, proclaim the first Friday in June 5th, 2020, as National Gun Violence Awareness Day. Further, I encourage all residents to wear orange this day to raise awareness about gun violence, honor the lives of gun violence victims and survivors, and support efforts to prevent the tragic events of gun violence. Signed this 26th day of May 2020, John A. Lundell, Mayor. So happy to make that proclamation. And again, we have Kate Casaletto from the organization Moms Demand Action for Gun Service in America. Kate, would you like to say a few words?
Sure, yeah. We just want to first thank you for your continued support. I know that Coralville also did the proclamation last year, so we continue to thank you for your partnership and our hopes that we can keep our community safe by preventing those gun violence deaths in our city, in the state, and in the country. So thank you.
Oh, we're happy to do this, Kate. And again, the clerk will have a nice version with the seal, city seal, and so forth for me tomorrow to sign, and we'll get that signed version to you just in a few days.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Mayor, I want to just say too, I was late, as I was saying beforehand, I just came right from school, but I had laid out my orange shirt, so I think we have the same shirt on, so that's the nice thing about Zoom, I got to take my camera off real quick and do a quick wardrobe change, so something you wouldn't be able to do at City Hall, or I shouldn't do at City Hall anyway, so.
Nice, thank you.
Good job, Mitch. Okay, well, we'll move on then. Thank you, Kate. We'll move on to item 5, which is citizen comments. Mr. Clerk, have we received any comments, or is anyone in the audience to speak to us tonight?
There have been no written comments, and there's no one at the council chambers to speak tonight.
Okay, then we'll move on to item 6, which is a series of A through F of financial items that some are related to the pandemic, some aren't, but they're all equally important. And item A is a public hearing on a loan agreement in the principal amount not to exceed $1 million. And this agreement finances the green stormwater infrastructure improvements included in the Iowa River Landing. It will involve state revolving fund loan and forgiveness of a portion of the principal under an Iowa Department of Natural Resources grant. The financing will be repaid through stormwater fund and a transfer of TIF revenues from the Mall and Highway 6 TIF fund. This is the public hearing, and I'll now declare the public hearing open. Are there any comments, written or oral?
There's no written comments. And
Okay, and hearing no
audience
comments, I will close the public hearing, and City Attorney, I'll consider the resolution.
Resolution taking additional action to enter in the amount not to exceed, this loan agreement not to exceed $1 million, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Foster, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. Any discussion? Roll call?
Gross.
Aye.
Gill,
Aye.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
The resolution is approved, all ayes. Item C is a resolution that sets the date for a public hearing on one or more general obligation loans and loan agreements. This public hearing, although my note doesn't say it, I will assume will be at our next council meeting in 2 weeks. Is that correct,
Yes.
Tony?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Correct.
And that is June 6th?
June 9th.
June 9th. Thank you. I don't have my screen pulled up here. Okay, so item C, Don, will consider the resolution.
Resolution to fix a date for public hearing on one or more general obligation essential corporate purpose loan agreements, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Foster. Any discussion? Again, this is a public hearing on June 9th. Roll call?
Gill,
Aye.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Okay, resolution passes, all ayes. Item D is a resolution authorizing the internal loan from the general fund to the debt service to facilitate the refinancing of a bond that's anticipated to be issued on June 9th at our next council meeting. Tony, is there anything more you want to say to that one?
I can just add that this is a timing issue. Because we have a payment on June 1st, but we want the obligation to legally survive that payment, we're doing an interfund loan from the general fund to the debt service fund to make that payment, which gives us another meeting to accomplish the financing, the refunding.
Okay, thank you. That was Tony Rotland, our Director of Finance. Don, the resolution, please.
Resolution authorizing internal loan from the general fund to the debt service fund introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gill, seconded by.
Second.
Give that one to Councilmember Dodds. Any further discussion or questions for Tony? Roll call.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gross,
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes. Item E is a resolution that amends 3 bond issuance resolutions to change the schedule of principal repayments to West Bank. Again, Tony, would you like to expound on that just a bit?
Yes, this item, E, and the subsequent one, F, represent agreements by 2 local regional banks to modify loans that are already existing with the city of Coralville, as they're doing those and other banks with many commercial clients, given the pandemic and the things going on right now. The idea is to add the principal back on at a later date. The West Bank resolution shows when that will be and takes care of that. The Great Western one, they actually preferred to wait a bit and see what happens on the federal legislative front. So we'll be coming back. This just waives the current payment, and then we'll be coming back to add it to the right point in time, given what we see happening or not happening on the federal legislative front. And those 2 banks, I think, are to be commended for their flexibility. And this just enhances the city's flexibility in terms of a cash position.
Okay. Thank you, Tony. With that, the resolution, please, Don.
Resolution amending resolution number 2017-247, 2018-259, and 2018-73, modifying principal repayment schedules, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Dodds, seconded by.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Gross. Any discussion? This one is for Midwest Bank, or West, excuse me, not Midwest, West, just West Bank.
Correct.
Roll call.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gross,
Aye.
Gill,
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Okay. Resolution passes all ayes. Item F is a similar resolution for Great Western Bank. Don?
Resolution approving the deferral of loan payment, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Second by Foster. Discussion? Roll call.
Foster,
Aye.
Gross,
Aye.
Gill,
Aye.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Okay, resolution passes all ayes. Okay, that takes care of the financial items. Moving on to zoning issue, item 7, the Scanlon Farm Southridge public hearing. And let's start that with a building department report.
Sorry.
Here we have Dave Johnson, our still calling new Director of Community Development.
Well, that'll wear off soon, I think. This is a 3.49 acre development east of North Liberty Road. It's approximately 3,500 feet south of the intersection of North Liberty Road and South Dubuque Street. What they're asking for is a change in designation from the density residential to neighborhood commercial. And there's also a larger area outside of this that City Council saw at their April 28th meeting. Proposed around this is a 208 acre, 993 unit residential project. That'll be a mix of single family and multifamily residential buildings. So neighborhood commercial areas, they're typically intended for smaller scale retail and commercial services. These areas are geared towards daily shopping, service, and convenience needs, and typically support neighborhoods. Uses in neighborhood commercial areas should be of a scale and intensity to be considered compatible with adjacent residential areas. The Planning and Zoning Commission did review this request at their May 6th meeting. The commission unanimously voted to recommend approval to amend the City of Coralville land use map from medium density residential to neighborhood commercial. That's all I have. Otherwise, I believe Lauren Hoffman is with us also this evening from Hall & Hall Engineers, should you have any questions for Lauren.
My bad. The phone was ringing in the background. I muted myself. I was going to say, let's go on with the next item, which is the public hearing, and then we'll introduce the first reading of the ordinance and see if anybody has any questions for Lauren. So at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing on amending the land use of a 3.49 acre portion of the Scanlon Farms South Ridge from medium density residential to neighborhood commercial. Are there any written, or is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to us?
No written and no one in the audience to speak with the council.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask for the first consideration of the ordinance.
Ordinance number 2019-1006, an ordinance amending the Coralville Community Plan to reflect certain property generally known as a portion of the Scanlon Farms, South Ridge, Coralville, Iowa, to be designated neighborhood commercial use in place of medium density residential use, introduced for adoption, first consideration by Councilmember Foster, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. Discussion? I was just going to clarify, and maybe this is obvious to all of you already, but just to make sure, this is one of the parcels of land that was reserved by the Scanlon family during the sale of the rest of the much larger parcel to the development group, where we heard from Matt Adam and his colleagues. So this is a parcel that's not included in the previous presentation that we had heard. Do we have any? Again, we have Lauren on Zoom here. Does anyone have any questions or opinion of staff?
What information could you give us, Lauren, about buildings or what could be planned for that area?
Sure. I'm Lauren Hoffman with Hall & Hall Engineers. Pat Scanlon has indicated, first off on the type of use here, it would be certainly neighborhood commercial, which is what we're ultimately going for. All along, Pat has indicated he loves the idea of having a walkable community, and by doing that would mean interceding some small pockets of commercial where it's appropriate that are within walking distances of the local housetops that are slated. The 208 acre surrounding area, 208 acres. That's a lot of housetops, and so you can see this being certainly not a like a C store. That's not at all what Pat would ultimately want to see here. It'd be more maybe a small strip mall that might have some services and a small restaurant or that sort of thing. As far as the architecture of the building, he also understands the importance of having a aesthetically pleasing neighborhoods, and this would be a gateway into the South Ridge development. And he would ultimately, when this does develop at some point, the materials would be blend with what certainly what's going to be set by precedent of Matt Adam and his project that's going to be happening before us. But the architectural design, would consist of some stone or brickwork, nice looking buildings.
And the neighbors have been notified what is it, 2-mile radius?
I don't know exactly, Dave. You might be able to comment better on that one.
Correct. All neighbors within a 200-foot radius have been notified of this. And there'll be also future opportunities for participation as we further develop these concepts. And the Scanlon's request further site plans as well as rezonings.
Yeah, it'll come in as a PUD, so we'll have opportunities to review the design and so forth further.
It will, and at this juncture, we're actually looking at an initial PUD-A site plan submittal with a CPUD-1 rezoning.
Thank you, Dave. Any other questions for Lauren or the staff? Okay, roll call, please.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill,
Aye.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Okay, the ordinance passes its first consideration, all ayes. Thank you, Lauren. Item 8 is the third and final consideration of a ordinance change for Lot 6, Coral Ridge Commercial Park, Phase 6. This is a change to a CPUD2 commercial planned unit development. In this area, it's east of Coral Ridge Avenue and south of the relatively new Burger King restaurant in that general area there. Don, the third reading, please.
Ordinance number 2020-1005, an ordinance amending the Coralville zoning ordinance, the same being ordinance number 664, as previously amended, rezoning certain property located within the corporate limits of the city of Coralville, Johnson County, Iowa, and generally known as Lot 6, Coral Ridge Commerce Park, Phase 6, from C2 Arterial Commercial District to CPUD2 Commercial Planned Unit Development 2 District, introduced for adoption and third and final consideration by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Any discussion or questions? Roll call.
Gill,
Aye.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Okay, the ordinance passes its third and final consideration, all ayes. Item 9 is a resolution. Coralville is essential.
We have a 9B.
Oh, a 9B. Thank you, Don. I was jumping ahead there. Resolution, please, Don.
Resolution approving the PUD-B site plan for Lot 6, Coral Ridge Commerce Park, Phase 6, Coralville, Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gill, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Discussion? Roll call.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gross,
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Gil?
I said aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't catch that one. Oh, right now I got a message that says your internet connection is unstable. So if I start whacking out, it's because my internet connection is unstable.
Is it yours or mine?
Resolution passes all ayes. Now on to item 9, the Coralville is essential resolution. This is meant to show the support of the council to an effort that's nationwide by the National League of Cities and also includes the Iowa League of Cities as a partner to encourage our federal partners in Washington to recognize the financial impacts of the pandemic on cities of all sizes. Currently, the CARES Act that was passed relatively quickly in this pandemic provides assistance to cities only in excess of 500,000 population. And the rest of the funds go to each state where they can pass a portion of the funds on to cities of under 500,000. We've received no indication from the state that they intend to do that, not to say that they won't. But the real hang up with the CARES Act is that it only covers expenses that cities have incurred. And while we've incurred some expenses for PPE and other accommodations. We expect many of those expenses to be covered through a FEMA grant through the Johnson County Emergency Management Association, and certainly pales in comparison to our loss of revenue in hotel motel taxes and program fees. And so this is just simply a resolution that shows that Coralville wants to be considered part of this nationwide initiative to encourage support for cities of all sizes. So Don, the resolution?
A resolution stating the city of Coralville is essential and in support of fair, direct federal emergency support to reopen and rebuild local American economies, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Dodd, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Foster. Any discussion?
I would just point out that there was an op-ed actually in the Des Moines Register, I believe it was yesterday, along these, talking about this very same issue, and it was signed by several mayors in Iowa, including Brad Hart from Cedar Rapids and Quentin Hart from Waterloo and the mayor of Des Moines. So I applaud our involvement in this, and I really hope that, we are successful in securing that much needed funding for our community.
Thank you, Megan. Roll call.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gross,
Aye.
Gill,
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes. Thank you. Item 10 is the Lot 4 Iowa River Landing Part 2 resolution that amends the original development agreement for this piece of property to extend the dealings for closing and construction of it. And this is the lot that's directly north of the IRL Clinics parking ramp, more or less to the east of the back of Trader Joe's there, that vacant lot that's back there. And the developer that we've been working with certainly continues to be interested. One of his major tenants in the building, however, has been impacted by the pandemic and is asking for a bit of an extension to sign a lease so they can move forward with the construction of the building. So this extends our development agreement with this particular developer. Don?
Resolution approving amendment number 1 to that certain development agreement with Ridge Development LLC, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Ellen, was I accurate in my description of that?
Yes, I would say you were. Kevin Olson might have a little more to add on that.
Okay. Kevin?
Yeah, the contingency they have until August 15th for their contingency or due diligence period, and they would have to close on the property and their construction loan by the end of calendar year 2020.
Thank you. Any other questions by the council? Roll call.
Foster,
Aye.
Gross,
Aye.
Gill,
Aye.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes. Item 11 is the lease and license agreement amendments. This is similar to the ones we did at the last council meeting, where we've negotiated the same terms with looks like 4 additional businesses down in the Iowa River Landing to give them a bit of a break on their lease payments, although they're still responsible for what they should legally have to pay. It's just giving them a bit of an extension. And this would be for La Vecina, Wine Styles, Ethan Allen, and Scratch Cupcakery. Don?
Resolution approving amendments to various lease agreements in the Iowa River Landing District, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Foster, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. Any discussion? Roll call.
Aye. Can't hear anything.
No, Don, you're fading out, Kevin.
Okay, sorry, guys. Gross,
Aye.
Gill,
Aye.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Turn on the mute button, it would help.
Well, but after a struggle, that was approved all ayes. Thank you. Item 12 is the IRL West Parking Ramp Waterproofing 2020 project. And I see Vicky Robrock, our Director of Parking and Transit, to give us a bid report.
Yes, yes, Mayor. We requested bids for the project. And they were received on Tuesday, May 9th. We had 5 contractors that submitted bids ranging from $143,230 to $200,456. The engineer's opinion of cost was $197,600. After evaluating the bids, Western Specialty Contractors of West Des Moines appeared to be the lowest responsive bidder. In this bid includes a few of the items that were also identified in our master plan that was done in 2019. So that we would ask for consideration to accept the low bid of Western Specialty Contractors for $143,230.
Thank you, Vicky. Resolution, please.
Resolution accepting bids and awarding the construction contract for the IRL West Parking Ramp Waterproofing 2020 project. Introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Any discussions or questions? Roll call.
Gill,
Aye.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes. Item C is the same project, approving the contract and bond documents.
Resolution approving the contract and bond documents for the IRL West Parking Ramp Waterproofing 2020 project. Introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gill, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Any discussion? Roll call.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gross,
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes. Moving on to item 13, the Clear Creek Trail phases 6 and 7. This is a resolution approving a supplemental agreement with Snyder and Associates. Sorry, I lost my place there. That again accommodates some of the design changes that we talked about at the last meeting involving the trail where it crosses underneath the Interstate 80 and 380 construction area. Don?
Resolution approving supplemental agreement number 1 with Snyder and Associates, Inc. for Clear Creek Trail phases 6 and 7. Introduced for adoption by Councilmember Dodd, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Discussion or questions? Roll call.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gross,
Aye.
Gill,
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes. Item 14 is the Dovetail Recreational Area Shared Parking Lot. And this is a project that outlines a cost share proposal between the city and the Gudis Akim Synagogue for maintenance of that parking lot. Let's have the resolution, and then we have our Director of Parks and Recreation, Sherry, here to answer any questions.
Resolution approving a cost share project agreement with Agudas Akim for the Dovetail Recreation Area Share Parking Lot Asphalt Renovation Project. Introduced for adoption by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Sherry, is there anything more you'd like to add?
I would just add that the parking lot, the drive aisles will get full depth patching in many areas, and then they'll do all the crack sealing and then a seal coat over the entire parking lot. So we'll hope to get some more life out of this parking lot instead of having to tear into it and totally reconstruct. This is about 10% of the cost of what it would be if we had to do a full reconstruction. And both the city of Coralville and Agudasakim feel at this time that we're not ready to take that on.
Thank you, Sherry. Any other questions or comments? Again, another example of great cooperation between the city and another organization and another partner. So that's wonderful. Roll call.
Foster,
Aye.
Gross,
Aye.
Gill,
Aye.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes. Item 15 probably sounds familiar. It's lots 1 and 2 at the Bluffs at Brown Deer. This is a resolution for title purposes. The buyer has requested a resolution changing back the grantee for lot 1 to the Watts Group Development to be placed on record. Roll call or resolution, Don?
Resolution changing back the grantee for Lot 1, the Bluffs at Brown Deer, Coralville, Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Foster, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. Discussion?
Yeah, we'll be closing on this property tomorrow, so we'll be. This is the last piece before we can close. Before we have to close.
And
Thank you,
the
Kevin.
other thing I would point out, Mayor, is that the agreement with Watts Group does not change. The whole project stays the same as was approved under your PUD process. This is simply changing back the legal entity that will be purchasing, but it's their intent and what is in our agreement. They'll be moving forward with the same project, and it will be a co-op process or project.
Thank you, Kelly. Anything else? Roll call.
Gross,
Aye.
Gill,
Aye.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes. Well, I entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented or amended.
Move to approve the consent calendar items A through M inclusive.
Second.
Okay, moved by Gill, seconded by Dodds. Any questions or discussion? I have a question. Where's the chart room? Item B.
It's going to be on James Street. I'm not sure it's where. James Street.
Okay. Just curious, they were requesting a liquor license in Brew Pub for Sunday sales effective July 1st. So something to look forward to, it sounds like.
Where is Tribute?
Tribute is in the location of the old Louis Wine Dive.
Thank you.
All right, roll call.
Gill,
Aye.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Consent calendars approved, all ayes. Item 17 is the city administrator's report.
Yes, several things, Mayor. First of all, I would just like to thank the Coralville American Legion for the Memorial Day service that they held yesterday. It was an awesome service in remembrance of those that have served our country. And the participants did an excellent job of physically distancing in the cemetery. And so they were spread out throughout the cemetery and the firefighters memorial. So it was a good way to continue that celebration, but also continue to be safe. Would remind people that Mayor's Cleanup will be next week, June 1st, on your normal day of garbage pickup. So I just want to remind people that that is coming up. I would also encourage people to remember that Goodwill is now open. And so if there's usable items, that's a good way to make reuse of an item instead of just putting it on the curb to go to the landfill. So encourage people to take part of that as well. Also coming up in June, we have a lot of different changes with facilities coming up and different ways that services will be provided as we start to open up different facilities. And so just encourage people to pay attention to the notices that are on the website, and that each of the departments also have on their website, that things will be slowly opening. But there's some services that won't change. And so just please pay special attention to some of those of the availability. Would remind folks that for those that did not request a mail ballot for the primary next Tuesday, there will be several city facilities that are open. And so I want to make sure people realize that even though we advertise the library, for example, isn't open, the library will be open for primary voters, as will City Hall and Northridge Pavilion are three of those city facilities that will be open for the primary. So just remind people that that is available if you did not get your mail-in vote. But also remind people that just because our facilities are open doesn't mean that you shouldn't use a lot of the electronic mechanisms that have been provided for example, paying your water bill, or purchasing a yard waste sticker. All those things you can do in ways other than just coming here to City Hall. And so encourage people to remember that there are alternatives that you can follow there as well. So with that, that's all I had, Mayor.
Thank you, Kelly. Next item is Mayor's report. You did a great job of covering everything that I was going to cover, almost. I will give my own shout out to the Coralville American Legion for the memorial service yesterday. It's always very heartwarming, and they just do a really, really nice job. And they read off all the names of the folks that are in our cemetery that served our nation, and it's just quite a tribute that nicely done, and a tradition that I hope that will continue. And you covered the mayor's cleanup, so I won't say anything more about that. The final thing, I just wanted to kind of do a poll of the council. Back on May 15th, we all received an email from a resident. She also is a member of our Parks and Recreation Commission, from Dahua Tawil, and I apologize if I mispronouncing her name, but from 1025 12th Avenue, asking us to reconsider our prior decision on not allowing urban chickens in our city. This is something we've discussed more than once and reached the conclusion that we have. And before we respond to her correspondence, I just wanted to see what the council's wishes were in terms of if we want to have further discussion or continue with our current policy.
Well, I'll go first. I want to continue with the current policy.
I'll go second. I would like to discuss the urban chicken ordinance.
And, oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, things have changed, and her letter was very thorough with a lot of excellent points and homework done, and I think it at least bears our discussion.
So I was not here for the first round of discussion, and I will say that this is an issue that I'm undecided on. She made some really persuasive points in her letter, but I definitely have concerns. Again, I just want to make it clear that I don't have an opinion right now, one way or another. So I would be in favor of just revisiting the discussion, especially since I wasn't there the first time when you all came up with the current policy.
I guess I'll say I did reply to her on May 21st. I've not heard back, but in my note to her, I kind of said, I'm fine rediscussing it. I think it's always good to have discussions. I'm not sure if my position's changed. I think there's I think there are some positives. I think there's a lot of negatives to it as well. I mean, I'm more than happy to discuss it, but I did, just for the record, I had emailed her just saying that, you know, I had not supported it the year at the time when we discussed it, and I'm not sure if I've moved any of it, but she did present some new information, and I'd be more than happy to discuss it.
I'd like to,
My-
I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Lori.
Well, my point of view, I was a little concerned talking when I read her note about the meat production and so on, and that concerned me. But then when I saw in the laws for other cities, that wasn't an issue. It was just for egg raising, and there wouldn't be roosters. And I just, out of curiosity, checked on different cities that have urban chickens, and it, after a couple of years, it really becomes almost a non-issue. People find out that it's a lot of work and maybe isn't exactly what they anticipated, raising eggs in their backyard. And it kind of becomes a lot less important to the whole city and makeup of your community. So I'd be willing to look at it and see if there's that much interest in the community too. I'd guess to say that there might be some undercover chickens in Coralville already.
That is true. I know that.
My only concern is health concerns with the rodents, raccoons, possums, skunks.
Yeah. You can lose chickens overnight, that's for sure.
And
Yep.
I agree, Tom. That would be one of the things that I would be concerned about, you know, and in my neighborhood, you know, we have coyote sightings.
Yep.
And so that is definitely one of the things that I'm concerned about, but I just agree. I'm open to the discussion.
Okay, well, let's
one of the things that she brought up this time.
let's not discuss it tonight, okay?
Okay. So are you gonna put the agenda for the next meeting then, John?
Well, yeah, I should say, let the staff have some time to prepare some notes for us of the previous discussions, the pros and cons. So we have a little history of what influenced us in previous discussions, and then we'll schedule a time.
That's fine.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we need to discuss it tonight. We would need more information, I think, so. Okay. Let's see, moving on to city attorney's report.
Kevin's first.
I don't have anything.
I don't have anything either, thank you.
Okay. Committee and council members. Again, I'll go by the tiles on my screen, and the first one is Tom's head looking down. Tom?
I really don't have anything. We had our Convention Visitors Bureau meeting, and we were discussing basically finances and hotel motel taxes and occupancy, but it's kind of a hard time to go through with the Convention and Visitors Bureau right now. So most of them are all on furlough. So it's an issue that we're going to have to really support the Convention Visitors Bureau. That's my opinion. So, but that's all I have.
Thank you, Tom, for your service. Lori?
I wanted to give a shout out to all the high school and college graduates this past month, I guess. Throughout the time, it's been a different graduation for people, and just want to congratulate and thank all our staff for the hard work. And now they're having to transition again to new rules and guidelines, and that each person is valuable and performs great in the city of Coralville, and we just want to thank each one of you.
Thank you, Lori. Jill?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to give a few updates on what's happening with Parks and Rec with the COVID-19 closures. The rec center is going to stay closed except for the programming that's happening there through the month of June. But while the facility is going to be closed, they are going to start doing lap, swim, and fitness room reservations starting on June 8th. Hopefully, we're talking about opening the pool on June 24th, but that will be with modified rules and modified hours. The Parks and Rec Department's currently accepting registrations for their summer programs and their summer camps. All of that information is available on the website. And also the pavilion rentals are now open with modifications that only 60 people in attendance and must maintain social distancing practices. So with that, I just want to thank everybody who social distanced over this 3-day weekend, and we didn't have any big reports like they did down in the Lake of the Ozarks with everybody all together. So I was very thankful to hear that everybody did well, and happy Memorial Day to all of the veterans. And that's it.
Thank you, Jill. Megan, you're up.
Sorry, I'm distracted. There's a knock at my door. So if you see a child run through,
Okay.
it's, I don't think it's locked. At least they knocked. So I really don't have much. I did want to just ask quickly, either Jill or Sherry, just for the folks that are watching at home, I wanted to clarify playgrounds are still closed. I know that the governor announced some new loosening of restrictions, but the playgrounds will remain closed, correct?
Ellen, I know Ellen's really studied this more than I have today, but I believe, Ellen, did it say June 1st they open back up?
It said you can open them up on June 1st. Yes, not before then.
All right, thank you very much. Kind of piggybacking off of what Lori said, in addition to thanking all the students and the kids who have had to make accommodations during this weird end of the school year, I wanted to just thank my kids' teachers and all of the teachers in the Iowa City Community School District. You know, even though the kids were not in school, the teachers and the administrators were working really, really hard to keep kids engaged, to check on kids, to make sure that kids were okay, that they had everything that they needed, to get kids tech support, to host Zoom meetings with their kids. Even my first grader had Zoom meetings twice a week. And so the teachers in our district and, and our administrators really worked hard. And it, as a parent, it was so heartwarming and comforting to know that those teachers care so much about the kids, even when they are not in their classroom. So a big thank you to all of them for their hard work. And then just a quick shout out to my friends at Moms Demand Action. They're a fantastic organization. They work so hard to, advocate on behalf of common sense gun safety issues. And they're just a fantastic group. And I'm so glad we were able to honor them tonight and their work. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. And Mitch.
Okay, a couple of things actually Megan just touched upon, but first, on behalf of educators, Megan, thank you for the comments. We appreciate that. It's been a very obviously difficult time for educators and those of us that do the work we do just because you want to be in a classroom doing that kind of work and not do it on a Zoom. I guess I have 3 quick things. One, Jill, based on the decision to open the pools, are Parks and Rec basing that, or I guess, or Sherry, I guess you're here too. What are the guidelines that we're basing of whether to open up or how the pool will be opened? And I am asking because as we're doing meal distribution, that question gets asked at least by one person daily about, what's the status of the pool and how are we basing that decision? And I don't have an answer for them, so.
Sure, we're planning based on some of what the other things are the other things that are opening. So 50% capacity, we're actually looking at setting that at even less than 50% capacity so that we can make sure people, you know, have plenty of room to social distance, putting out, you know, the things, the extra cleaning, the extra sanitizing, the extra hand sanitizer. People can wear masks if they want. When they're not in the water, obviously in the water that becomes a little bit more problematic, but it's going to be a choice, just like to go to Target or Hy-Vee if you feel comfortable coming to swim. Those are the things we're looking at trying to provide the service. And then of course it'll be based on the governor opening us back up. At this time, we don't have that permission yet, but we're just looking ahead to what the next rounds may be that open up.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And then Sherry, I guess I have another question for you too. And this is not what I hear on at lunch pickup, but I think a lot of us have been doing a lot more walking during this COVID thing. And I know my wife and I have been. I have a question on, as far as like weeding flower beds, is that the city staff or is that our vendor that we've signed off to do, like, and I'm speaking specifically of the beds along the path on Oakdale, like just east of Wickham, between around Brown Deer.
Those would be under our contract.
Okay.
Yeah, so we need to look at them. I can run out there and look at them and see if they're doing them.
Yeah, and I just think like one day it looked like things have been done, but there was still, I count about 4 or 5, 6 major huge dandelion plants still in the beds and things like that. So that's why I want to say, if we're paying for a service, I want to make sure that we're getting a good job.
Absolutely.
And then third, we did have a library board meeting last week. One of the things that was discussed was, there are several things, just, reopening, budget cuts and things like that. The library board did vote to pass a resolution supporting all city workers. That has not been sent yet or written, or I don't think submitted yet, but the board voted unanimously to send that to the council to consider adopting as well once that gets submitted. Maybe that's been sent to the city. I didn't see anything, but I'm not sure where they are on that. That's all I have there.
Okay, thank you, Mitch. That concludes our meeting as on the agenda. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Gil, seconded by Goodrich. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, opposed? Okay.